Mr. Paradise, Pickin' Paradise, and we're doing a video to help everyone kind of come along with me on the lock picking belt ride along series I'm doing. And this is the 141, which I just submitted for my yellow belt. This is a 140. We're going to pick both these right now and get into some details on the pick. So I do prefer my top of keyway wrench that has a little notch here that provides it to give a solid amount of feedback. If you do prefer bottom of keyway when you're beginning, it is a bit more comfortable to do in hand because you get to hold like this. Either way works, but I do suggest us gravitate towards the top of keyway. It will help us in the long run. So we're going to insert our tension wrench and we're going to now insert our pick. Very, very light tension or no tension. Let's not even put our hands on the tension wrench. Stick the pick in there and feel each pin. So we're going to remove the tension wrench so we can see what we're doing. And we're going to do it one more time so we can feel those pins. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see the pick kind of going up and down through there. I've laid out some other picks because if I were to stick another pick in there with a steeper hook, you can see the difference between these picks here. This one has a steeper hook. It's going to catch a lot harder on those pins. And I'm actually going to have to go down and then up, down and up. It catches on them a lot harder. So if you do switch picks, I suggest you filling those key pins to see how the pick actually feels up against those key pins. So let's go ahead and get this thing picked and talk more details on the pick. So as I insert, very light tension in the beginning, just enough to hold a piece of paper on the wall, and I'm not getting enough feedback on that. So I'm going to increase tension just slightly. And the bottom of the keyway, the problem is you can see where my pick is touching my tension wrench. It actually creates false feedback, and that's why I don't like it. I like to get it out of the way. There's a pin set. Got to go around this one. It's a hard set pin, so I'm raising up to get around it because it was like lower. I'm going to go back now to find my position. I'm going to reset. Well, just for reasons, we're going to stick with the bottom of keyway here, even though I'm not having that much success with it. Might have to abandon the bottom of keyway. There we go, and I got it. So the problem there was I couldn't even feel the key pins that good because my pick was touching this guy. So if you get that up and out of the way, now you got the whole bottom to work with, and we can feel each one of those pins a little bit better, and we don't even have to touch the bottom of the lock. We can actually use our finger, and that actually increases feedback. We keep it up off there. Oh, that's that first pin. Once we feel that first pin, now we can use the bottom as a fulcrum. If I can get it set. We're just feeling each pin. We're going to reset. There's no reason to. There we go. There's a definite click. Now the only problem with picking with the top of keyway is you got a lot of room. I'm gonna switch picks. I go to that steeper hook, so it allows me to get up there farther. And I'm gonna do what I told you guys to do, which is fill these pins. There's that binding pin, it's way low. I'll be able to get to it a lot easier, I think. And we're gonna reset. Just working through that pin stack. That was a click. Go back to the back. Go to the fourth one. Click on the fourth one. It's a lot lighter of a click. Now I'm on 2, I think. A lot lighter of a click on 2. Should be able to hit 1 here, I hope, and get the open. So we walked right through that progression. So I don't remember the binding order typically on any of my locks. But right after the pick, sometimes I can remember, and I believe that was the 3rd pin first, then the 4th, then the 2nd, then the 1st. So we do that just by filling each one and going through that progression. If it helps you, you can write those down. And now, if I were to go back in that lock, I would go right for the 3rd pin, right for the 4th pin, 2nd pin, 1 pin, and open. But I don't like to remember them. I don't like to mark my locks, and I don't like to remember that order, because if I remember it, then that's what I'll do every single time. So it's best for me to not remember it and just forget it, because I want to listen to what the lock has to say. Now this one is a little bit more challenging. So 140, it's a very iconic lock. I love this lock. It is a little tougher. It has a few spools in it. I've picked it once today just to make sure that I could actually do it. And we're gonna fill those key pins. We're filling them. We're just, okay, yep. Insert our tension rod up at the top. We're starting at 1, go to 2, 3 has a bind. Yep, now I don't know if you guys can see that, but it rotated slightly. That doesn't really necessarily mean that's the spool, it's the first pin that sets. But the core did rotate slightly, and I felt it in my finger. And one of the reasons I felt it was because I'm not putting a whole lot of tension. If you put too much tension, you'll never feel that, and then you've got to push a lot harder with your pick to set that pin. So we were on 3. See if I can get to the back of the lock and find 4. There's nothing on 4. I'm just going to come right back up to the top. Okay, so 1 had a little bit of motion. I felt a little bit of feedback in the finger. Yep, and there we go. I set it, and I kept teasing it up. Didn't quite feel like it was there. Then we all seen it. It kind of rotated slightly. And now the 2nd pin is much lower. I have to navigate the pick up and around it. I don't want to push it or do anything. I want to make sure I know what I'm doing before I push it. And now I'm going to push it. It's really, really tight. So I could probably end up pushing harder, but what I want to do is I want to fluctuate my tension finger, and I want to back off. Oop. There we go. That was a spool. Very indicative of a spool. That core was here, it rotated back, and then clicked back into place. And then 1, I went right into the lock and I felt 1. So what happened was 1 fell back down once that spool rotated. And there it rotated a little bit more. So now 1 is set. And as I'm touching 2, it kind of fell in a little bit more of a deeper fall set. So now I'm caught on another spool for sure. And now if we're getting lost, like I am, a little lost right now, what you can do to help is you can lightly just take your pick and rub across the key pins. We call this a zipping technique to find the next binding pin. And it'll usually catch the hardest on the next binding pin. And I think it's 4. And I'm gonna grab 4 and I'm gonna push a little bit. I'm gonna release tension just slightly. And what I like to do is I like to just kind of bounce the pick up and down a little bit until I get some definite feedback to say what's going on in there. It's rotating slightly backwards. Hopefully I get a set here. I did. It's a little sloppier than I wanted, meaning it wasn't 100% controlled. I should have backed off tension a little bit more. Come back, and then that was 1, I do believe. I'm going to tease 1 up a little bit. It seems to always want a little bit more, and that was the open right there. I had to tease 1 up. It felt set, but I had to go back in there, and I had to tease it back up a little bit and kind of tap it. Give it a little tap, tap, taparoo. So, okay, guys, I hope that the series is helping everyone, and I hope that pick was very informative. I hope that it guides a lot of people and helps us progress. If you haven't gotten your yellow belt yet, then pick one of these locks and message the mods with the picture of the core turned and clear, and include the name of the lock in the message to the mods, and get your yellow belt. Next lock we're going to be doing is our orange belt, and it'll be the Ace 44 millimeter with a paracentric keyway. So a little bit of a change of speed because the different keyways. If we can focus slightly here, you can see how this one has the little bump out that goes across the center line, so I cannot just go straight up and down like I can in the 140. So we're gonna have to kind of pick off to the side on this one. And the feedback is less definite in this guy. All right, guys,